Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, movie, TV, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're so excited to be digging into what our favorite book tropes say about us. And to help us do that, we have licensed therapist and booktube shadow hunter queen EmmmaBooks here with us today.
Hello. Hi. Very excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you.
No, we're so excited to have you. But before we dive into today, for anyone who doesn't already know you, Emma, can you give us your bio, where you're from, what you do, what you're about, your favorite fandoms, and all that jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously I'm Emma. I was a booktuber for a long time. Is strange because I haven't uploaded in quite a long time.
I feel like once you're in it for so long, you just have to hold the title kind of forever.
Yeah, it's like part of your identity at a certain point.
I feel the same way. I'm like, am I a booktuber if I'm not uploading regularly?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So on BookTube for a very long time, but for the last several years, I've been working as a licensed mental health counselor. I'm from New York. I currently live in Brooklyn. And I work also as a DBT therapist. So dialectical behavioral therapy is my game.
Wait, what is that? Can you tell us a little bit more what that means?
Yeah, so dialectical behavioral therapy is one of the many different modalities to therapy, and essentially like the one sentence answer I give to like what is DBT is the foundation is all about learning to find the balance between accepting what we can't control and learning to change what we can. So it's all about really understanding like what is the root behind the emotions that we feel and the subsequent behaviors that our emotions cause us to take, and also learning skills and ways that we can change those behaviors that we don't like so that our lives can be more fulfilling, but also accepting the many things in life that are completely out of our control to reduce the amount of distress and suffering we experience.
Nice.
And totally fell into it, like never thought that I would be a DBT therapist, but I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's been really cool to like achieve that like teenage dream of being a therapist. Favorite fandoms like Shadowhunters, obviously, like Cassie Clare and I are stuck together for life 100%. But like for books, I'm like big on Daisy Jones and the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Yes.
Renegades also is like a YA, like sci-fi fantasy.
Is that Meyer?
Yes. Favorite for me. Big into the Scythe series as well. Twilight Resurgence over the last couple of years too. Yes. Just like always watching the movies and good rereads every once in a while.
Oh, Chris says Emma made me read Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo. Such a throwback.
Nice.
So good.
We met you, like, how old were you when we all met?
I was like 2014 or 2015, right?
Yeah, 2014. I think, Natasha, we met in 2015 at VidCon, I think. But I remember I met Christine at BookCon in 2014, and I was 18 in 2014. So many years, like 10 years now for all of us.
That's wild.
So wild.
Wow.
Life moves so fast.
Yeah, the last time we saw Emma was like right out of the pandemic. It was like, what, 2021?
Oh, yeah, when you came over.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes,
so
that was
you
so
guys
fun.
all came over that day. It was so nice.
Me too. I miss LA. I do.
You come back and then we'll hang out.
Yes.
Well, before we go into our main discussion today, we have some Snap Crackle pop culture news. Natasha, do you have anything on the news docket today?
Yeah, I've got one thing because you took all my other things.
Well, I was just writing down the things.
Okay, Pride and Prejudice is coming back to theaters for its 20th anniversary. It's my favorite movie of all time. It's coming back on April 20th. I don't think I can go. I'm really sad. I wish it was like there the whole weekend, so at least I could
it's
go.
only for one day?
I think so.
I don't like when they do that.
Wow.
Like, they bring something back for one day. Who
Yeah.
can make it?
So, if you're available, it'll be back in theaters. And I mean, most of us probably didn't get to see it. I was 11 when it came out. So,
I was 14.
yeah. So if you want to go see it, it'll be back in theaters, and I'm so excited. I hope like people will dress up and do things because it's such a classic for everyone.
Yeah. Ted Lasso is coming back for a fourth season after tricking us into thinking that season 3 was its final season and that was the series finale, which is wild. Jason Sudeikis, Hannah Waddington, Brett Goldstein, Jeremy Swift, and Juno Temple are all returning. And the first episode takes place in Kansas before returning to the UK, and filming starts in July, which is wild.
That's crazy. I thought it
So
was
exciting.
Wait, did you watch it, Emma?
No, I haven't. Like, I am
so
behind
good.
the curve on so much, but I've like seen clips and I've heard really good things, so I'm sure that I will watch it at some point.
Yeah. I wonder, is it because it's Apple TV Plus's maybe most successful show that they were like, please don't leave? Or maybe they were just not contracted in, so they had to really work on contracting everybody again, and they didn't want to promise anything. Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe, yeah, contracting.
Do you want to talk about Freaky Friday?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Freakier Friday trailer dropped. Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes, I did. I couldn't avoid it.
Emma, did you watch it?
I did.
They're Freaky Fridaying with her daughter and her daughter's friend, not each other, to make it different. So they're acting like children.
Okay. See, here's the thing. I didn't watch the whole trailer. I watched it on mute.
Oh,
Because I was at school.
oh my
And
God.
I'm like, okay, it's just the same thing over again. Like, I don't really want to be spoiled. But what the heck? What do you mean?
So I'm confused as to what's going to happen when Chad Michael Murray is there. Like, do they not know him? Because they're two teenagers? Like, that's so wild. But I mean, they had to make it different.
Was Chad Michael
Yeah,
Murray like in the trailer?
Yeah, he was.
At the very
He made his
end.
grand entrance with his, like, taking off his
motorbike.
motorcycle helmet and making his hair go around in the wind.
Emma, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I've seen like in the comments and the trailers and stuff, I've seen people say that like it's really common in reboots that like you have to make it appeal to the younger audience and it can't just be fully nostalgia based. So like I know that Hocus Pocus 2 also did the same thing where like it follows the younger protagonists, like the children, and all the Disney reboots, and you know, I'm very much like I would rather it just be the two, like I would rather it be the same exact thing again.
Yeah. I was like, well, it feels weird. But I guess they're best friends in these older bodies instead of like a mom and a daughter, so the dynamic will be different.
Wait, Lindsay and
So it's Lindsay's daughter
oh,
and Lindsay's daughter's best friend is what it seems like. Yeah.
with the grandma.
Well, she's the grandma, Jamie Lee Curtis, but like she has Lindsay's best friend in there. Yeah.
That's a little
Not
weirder.
Lindsay's daughter's best friend. Sorry, it's complicated to say.
I
It is
guess I
weirder.
just need to watch the trailer without it on
Just
mute.
yeah, it's just watch the trailer.
And something I have to experience.
But she says that her face looks like a Birkin bag left out too long in the sun. Instead of like my face looked like the Crypt Keeper.
That's cute.
I didn't realize that reference.
I've seen the movie a lot of times. All right. Also, Percy Jackson has been renewed for a third season before the second season has even aired. So that's exciting. We need to get to Heroes of Olympus. We need like 8 seasons. Let's see. And is there anything else? Oh, did you guys listen to the new, like, very horny sounding Selena Gomez song called Sunset Boulevard? Wow.
feel like I missed all this stuff. Why is it so horny?
She's like, big. You gotta listen to it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I just want to touch it. I just want to. Go ahead, Emma.
I love how unserious it is. Like, you're big, hard heart.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like Sabrina Carpenter has really emboldened women to be more unseriously sexual in their songs, because that's like her whole vibe.
That's my whole vibe. I feel like that was like the 60s, like just tiptoeing on that, and that's where her vibe comes from.
Yeah, just walking the edge there. Yeah. You want to do this one?
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, we're going back to Romance Con.
We are
Going back to Romance Con. Emma, you know how like they got rid of BookCon?
Yeah, I think she knows.
Sadly.
I dream about it every day.
I feel like there's been so many like little book conventions that have popped up, but like we went to Romance Con last year in September and it was so much fun. It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but we will be back on it's from September 5th through September 6th, and we have a code. So if you want to go, you can get 15% off your tickets with code FANGIRL, all one word. Fangirl.
Said it like it was 2 words.
Fangirl. Sorry. We'll be there again. We will have a panel. It's just not in the schedule yet, and there will be lots of other things. Christine will also have a table.
Yes, I'll be there as an author.
Yes.
My book will be coming out in like 2 months, maybe, when by the time I'm there. So maybe I'll be able to have arcs. We'll see.
Exciting.
Very exciting. And in other news, I do have a book that's out now called Attached at the Hip, if anyone hasn't heard.
I mean, have you guys heard on the podcast?
I don't know.
Have you not talked to
I've buried the lead. We talk about it every week.
I'm sure.
But if you haven't heard, I have a Survivor rom-com out. You don't have to know anything about Survivor to read it. It is about a 23-year-old woman who applies to be on Survivor, and she gets out there and they're like, just kidding, you're not on Survivor. You're on a Survivor spin-off with a romantic twist where you're attached at the hip to somebody for 3 days, and then you have all the Survivor things where you get eliminated and you have challenges and stuff. And the guy that she's attached to is her high school crush. So we go from there. Ooh. She doesn't talk to him in 4 years. Yeah. So exciting. And if you have read it and you enjoyed it, it's really helpful to my career if any of you out there take a second to review it on whatever platform you read it on, because that's how these platforms promote the books to new readers. And keep growing the readership. So thank you if you took a second to do that. I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't, I would really, really appreciate it. That really helps out authors and any author that you're reading. If you want to help them out, just take a second to review their book. All right, y'all.
Do it. I want to read this. Christy said not to be a total weirdo, but I'm so excited for this collab. Emma, you're my favorite booktuber back in the day. We met at Y'all Fest in 2017. You probably don't remember me, but it was such a lovely experience for me.
Oh, wait, that's Christy.
That's so sweet.
Oh, yeah, Christy.
Nice.
If we took a picture and you posted it or sent it to me, I definitely have it on my hard drive. So if I went through my Y'all Fest photo, I'm sure that I would find you on there. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Marielle says, never thought I'd see Emma here not on a Shadowhunters episode.
Metal says, wow, this is the first time I'm hearing about Christine's Christy's currently rewatching David vs. Goliath thanks to Attached to the Hip. Oh, yay! And my new Survivor fixation. Oh, yes. David vs. Goliath, amazing season 37, if anyone needs something to watch. All right. Moving on into what right now? What are y'all reading right now? Emma, do you want to kick us off? What are you reading?
Yeah, so because work has been so busy for me, I have not read for pleasure in like such a long time. Like everything I read is like
Oh,
geared towards counseling. It's
that bummer,
devastating. I
yo.
talk about it in therapy. Like,
Oh
um,
no.
I've been thinking about like, okay, like I need to like sit down and like pick something that like I can get back into. But the book that I'm currently getting through is called No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Schwartz. And it's essentially from this other modality of therapy called internal family systems. And it's all about this idea that like within ourselves, we have many different parts of us that are shaped by our past experiences. And a lot of like inner conflict for us comes when we try and reject certain parts of us that we don't like, whether it's like anxiety or depression or trauma, addiction. And so the whole idea around IFS is that if we open up a dialogue with those parts of ourselves and talk to them and like stop trying to push them away, but recognize that they come from a protective part of us, it creates like a lot of like inner healing. And I love parts work. I think it's really, really powerful. And what I love about No Bad Parts as well is that it's not necessarily geared towards like mental health professionals. Like anyone who's interested in that concept can pick it up and read it, and it like gives you exercises of like creating that dialogue and getting to know your parts. So like it's not like for like a mental health counselor to
Yeah.
learn to practice. So it's
That's
really
what
fascinating. I really love it.
my therapist and I worked on that a lot when I was in therapy for a while, a long time. But like, yeah, talking about how anxiety is like not something that I should be trying to pretend isn't happening, but like it's there to protect me, and that's going to help. Blah blah blah. You know, that's fascinating.
Emma, are you in that like as me as a cosmetology student? I come home and like my For You page or my Explore page, just like it's all hair. And I'm like, I just want to leave this at school/work. I don't want it to envelop every single thing. And I'm like, but then I start watching it and consuming it. I'm like, oh, well, like that's new like technique I'm learning. Like, is that what you're experiencing? Like when you come home, like you're just trying to, there's just so much you have to learn, right? And it's just enveloping every single facet of your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially when like I like first got onto like TikTok and like I had made like mental health related ones. I think that now I've like trained my algorithm of like, no, I don't want to watch that. So now it's
it
like
off.
very much like brain rot and entertainment. But I totally feel you on how it's like I want to break from this. Like I need space, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm like I need to find like a pleasant, fun book for me to read to like fully escape and reconnect.
Yes. Are you like very into fantasy right now or more like grounded, more like romance stuff?
I always gear more towards like the urban fantasy and
Yeah.
thrillers. I feel are my like comfort zone. So yeah, but like I want romance in almost everything. Like
Yeah.
the solid romance books that I know that you guys read a lot are not the things that I gravitate towards as much, which is why I'm really excited for this episode to hear from like the perspective of you guys who read so much romance. But I'm like I want romance in everything. I just want
Yeah.
like an additional plot to it.
Yes. Those books are the ones that make me, those are the ones where I'm like, okay, I love this. And those are the ones that I'll recommend to people because it has a little extra something.
What are you reading, Natasha?
I've been reading your book.
I know.
I'm 80% of the way through. I lost my
shit.
phone, guys. Not lost. It was fucking stolen.
It was stolen.
At Disneyland. Yeah. It's been a nightmare. I don't have a new one yet. And it's coming tomorrow, hopefully, or Tuesday. So I don't have access to like a lot of apps because my iPad is humongous, and I'm like, you know, like those moms at a soccer game. I'm
Yes.
like taking pictures of stuff, and then I have my old phone which has zero storage, so I have just Christine's book on there.
Thank you. I'm honored.
But I'm loving it. I'm so excited for you guys to read it.
Yay! I was making a video yesterday just about like how I just handed in the third draft, and I was talking about the spice, and I was like, good news, the spicy scenes come Natasha approved.
Yes.
But then I watched the video again last night, and I was like, am I annoying in this video? And I don't know if I'm going to post it. I'll have to send it to you. I just feel like when I'm excited on camera now, I come off annoying because everyone's so calm.
I mean, I feel like you just have to embrace that that's who you are.
Yeah, but I'm like, are people going to think I'm like being fake? Because I'm not. That's the thing is, long form, you get to know that that's just me. But in short form, there's no time. And everyone who watched any of my YouTube videos the first time was like, that fucking crazy chick, like, who's yelling about books. Like, they don't, then they watch more. But like, when you're on short form, it's different. But at the same time, if you're just talking, nobody cares. So I don't know.
I think you should post it. I want to see and feel that excitement.
You'll film it. Just gonna film it again. Anyway,
Christine, what have you been reading?
I just finished Love Theoretically, which is my fourth consecutive Ali Hazelwood novel. I've been binging all of her books while I've been writing, because it's been just such an... When I forget to read, I start to just be a less happy person and more anxious. So I have been it's been nice while I'm writing to just stay in this zone of like the same author and the same vibe, and it's easy just to get into her books. I know what to expect, and they're really fun, and women in STEM is not like typically what I'm reading about, because a lot of writers weren't in STEM, so they're not writing about people in STEM. So it's different. It's been fun. So Love Theoretically was about two physicists. I think it's probably my least favorite of hers that I've read so far, but I still really enjoyed it.
Lol. Chris says Love Theoretically is my fave. Ali Hazel.
Lol. There's a lot of Twilight references that I enjoyed, and like they have sex multiple times in front of Twilight playing.
As one should.
And you know, it was just I just didn't have as much fun with like the story structure as I have with the other books. Like the stakes didn't feel as high. Chris says, but my least fave is Bride. Yeah, Chris, you have weird tastes in Ali Hazelwood. Emma, that'll probably be your best bet if you haven't read Ali yet, because it's a vampire werewolf marriage,
Urban.
and there's more going on than just your normal Earth romance.
Earth romance. Love that.
But yeah, I am not sure if I'm going to read another Ali or if I'm going to switch, because there's also an Olivia Blake book that Kat recommended to me that I want to read.
Which is it?
It's one of her YAs, My Mechanical Romance, and she's like, I'm just really enjoying it. And it's like everything we like in a book, and I think you'd enjoy it too. So I read like the first 3 pages last night, and then I started writing my 5th novel because I was just getting ideas while I was reading, and I was like, I have to just sit. So it was really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we watching on television this week?
Okay, I have last week I talked about the new Fallen show.
Yeah.
This is like that YA
By
novel.
Lauren Kate.
And they redid it.
Throwback.
Truly. It's on like AMC Plus. So I've been paying for the subscription this month, and I just need to like finish it. But it's not that good. I was really hoping it was going to be
Sad
like
times.
better, but it's so slow, and there's like not a lot of like fun bits in there. It's just very serious. I'm like,
See, that was the mistake that Twilight made. You'd think that people would know 10 years later. to lighten up a little.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but I'll keep updating you.
Cool.
Emma, what are you watching?
I am watching Drag Race. So, like, over the last couple of years, I've realized that for the first 6 months of the year, my life is taken over by Drag Race because the new season starts in like January, February. And so, as I'm waiting for each new episode, the only thing I want to watch is Drag Race. So, I just keep rewatching all of the seasons.
Nice.
And then once the new season ends, then the new All-Star season starts in like May. And so the cycle repeats itself. So
nice.
Every year, just like January through like the beginning of the summer, like Drag Race is the only thing that I want. But I love it. It's so fun.
Nice.
I have never seen an episode of Drag Race. I feel
haven't
like I'm
either.
missing out.
So many people love it. I just
It's so fun.
What streamer is it on?
So they have most of the seasons on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
So like that's where like everything is, but like there's a couple on Hulu currently. So like sometimes they'll have like certain seasons that are on other platforms from I guess like old contracts before like
What's
Paramount
the
got
starter
everything.
season? Like what's the season that people should watch as the first one?
I always think that like season 5 and 6 are great places to start. See, Tamara says season 5. Like season 5, 4 through like 7 are like the Drag Race golden years. So I always recommend like something in that vein because it really like shows you what drag was like at the time. And now it's like so much different, but it's so fun and hilarious and there's so much lore.
Nice. I've been watching Running Point. Is it called Running Point? I think it's called Running Point. The new Mindy Kaling show on Netflix with Kate Hudson and Brenda Song and Max Greenfield and a lot of people that you recognize. And I love Mindy's shows, but this is definitely a different type of project for her because it's based off of a true story. And the woman who owns the Lakers, who this is based off of, like approached her to do the show. And everyone in it is like a very well-known actor. Whereas like in all of her other projects, she's kind of brought in a lot of unknowns and stuff. And it's just such a different vibe. Not that it's like bad, but the lead, Kate Hudson, I just don't believe Kate Hudson as the lead because she has dialogue that's not coming out as funny because I don't believe that she's like kind of awkward and not confident because she's Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Kate Hudson's like, oh, lol, and I'm like, oh no. It just doesn't feel like something she would say. She's past the lol generation. And when she's being awkward in front of someone who's working out, I'm just like, no. I don't feel like she would be. Like if Mindy was saying it, yeah, funny. So I don't know. I've only watched 2 episodes. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that's the consequence when you become so famous. Like you get, it makes it hard for people to see you as something else than what like you're known for.
Especially because if you think about Kate Hudson, she is always like super uber confident. I mean, especially in like her biggest role for my brain, which is like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days as Andy. She's so confident, and everything I've seen her in, she's kind of been really confident.
Yeah, like the last role she did was the
Knives Out. Yeah.
And
she's like a model.
Yeah, and like that makes sense for her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But I just like, I'm disappointed because I find her writing to be so funny, but it's just not funny coming out of this place.
That's sad.
Yeah, but all of Minnie's other shows like Sex Lives of College Girls, love, like Never Have I Ever, love. The what was it called? 4 Weddings and a Funeral on Hulu. I watched that so many times. It's perfect.
Wait, was that like a remake of 4 Weddings and a Funeral?
Yeah, it was a television show.
Oh, you're right. I watched it.
You've watched it, right? Because I talked about it a lot when it was first dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, movies.
Last night I watched Companion. Do you guys know about that movie?
No.
With Jack Quaid and the girl from Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like it's a thriller, and I almost feel like it's one of those that it's better not knowing what exactly is going on. But his girlfriend is played by the girl from Yellow Jackets.
She was in my movie last night.
She was?
Yes.
Are you kidding? That's so weird. The same girl, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the companion movie. I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely recommend. I had a time watching
Emma,
it.
you should watch Yellow Jackets.
You should watch Yellow Jackets.
I feel like I've been told this over and over and over again. I hear it's so
love
good.
Yellow
So
Jackets.
maybe that's the thing that I can like interrupt Drag Race with.
Yes.
It's on
I hear
Paramount Plus.
such good things.
Well, with the Showtime add-on. But it's so good.
Yeah, I should put that on my list.
Yeah. What have you guys been watching movie-wise?
I want to watch Companion. So what would you grade it?
I would grade it an A.
Oh, okay, good.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah. It was good.
Okay,
it.
I guess I watched Heretic last night with Hugh Grant and the girl from Yellow Jackets.
Why can't we know her name? Is it Margaret or something? Or something with an M?
Go look it up on your phone.
Okay.
Someone tell us in the chat who plays Julia.
I can't remember her name on the show either.
Anyways, Heretic is we follow two Mormon girls who are
Sophie Thatcher.
Sophie
I was
Thatcher.
going to say Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, that's another famous
Sophie
person.
Thatcher. Sophie Thatcher.
We follow two Mormon girls who are on their what's it called when they go out and they tell people
their adventure to tell people to be Mormon.
Yeah, what is that called?
I forget. It's been a long time since I saw the Book of Mormon.
Mission?
Mission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're on their mission to spread the word of John Smith, whatever his name is. And they go to this guy's house and to talk about him. And they're like, come in, they're like, hey, do you have a wife here or another female? Like, we can't really, like, we can't be in a room with just a man by himself just for our safety. And he's like, oh, yes, my wife's here. He's like, come on, come inside. And so they come inside and, you know, they're talking about Mormonism and the message. And he's like challenging them. They're like, is your wife here? He's like, yeah, let me just go get her. And, you know, there's no wife.
Does he come back with a knife?
So it is a horror film. And lots of like little twists and turns. I enjoyed it. I thought the script was really well written. However, the story could have been a little bit better. That's how I always feel about horror films. It's like they're always the same type of thing, like the big bad. I just need like better twists. And like there were some good twists. But anyways, I really liked it and would recommend. It's on Max, so that's why I watched it. It's for free.
What did you give it?
I'd probably give it a
B minus.
B minus.
That's what it felt like from your review.
You guys are very in tune with each other's rating scales.
What about you, Emma? How was the substance?
Yeah, I just rewatched it. It was on the
You
the
rewatched
plane.
the substance? Wow.
Yes. Do we not like this movie? Because I think it's fun.
No, I think it's great. I just like couldn't watch it because I was getting like I was gonna faint.
Yeah,
I
it's gross for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely like gnarly in that sense. Yeah, maybe it's like the growing up with unrestricted internet where I'm like desensitized to so much of the like gore and grossness, but I love it. I think it's so fun and campy. So that was like a fun one, especially because like I said, I'm behind the curve on a lot of things sometimes. So I like only watched it, like in January, probably for the first time. And when they had it and I was looking for something just like comfortable, I rewatched it and it's very fun.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love the concept and I watched like clips after because I had to turn it off. I wanted to watch it so bad and I watched to like the 25-minute mark and I was like, I'm gonna die, and I was like home by myself. Like, So I just watched,
It gets way worse.
I watched like
So I think
clips
you made the
from
good
the rest
decision.
of it.
And then I watched it. I was like, you have to watch this part. You have to.
Yeah, Natasha told me which parts I should watch.
You need timestamps.
But it was great, and I'm glad she won something for it.
Wish she won the Oscar.
Yeah, well, she won the Golden Globe, so at least she won. All right, well, that's gonna wrap up what right now. Oh wait, did you want to talk about Picture This, Natasha? You kind of talked about it last week. You weren't liking it. Did
yeah.
it get better?
No. This new movie, like rom-com on Amazon, with the actress who plays Kate Sharma in Bridgerton and the guy from After. It was not good, okay?
Sad.
She goes on, like, her family sets her up with like 5 different dates because this astrology guy was like, you'll find your person within 5 dates. And then like her photography business is like going under, and one clip goes viral, and all these people start flooding in, and then like this romance that she's supposed to have with Hero finds like it was not set up. It was like, oh, they were together at one point, and then like at the very end they're like, I love you, let's get back together again. And I'm like, okay, so not worth it.
All right. Well, that sucks. But moving on to we're going to move on into our main discussion. We're so excited to like kind of with a grain of salt take what do our favorite books tropes say about us in a fun
With
way.
a grain of salt, I want full like.
No, I mean like I meant like in a silly like. I don't want to insult anyone if we're telling them what it says about them. You know what I mean? With the other ones, but like it's silly.
I don't care.
Okay, we care about other people. We're just
my
saying
thought
that
too,
this is
is
silly
like-
fun.
Time.
That this is for fun. Yeah, it's not like to be taken so seriously that like you get insulted is what I'm saying. If something is like
Yes.
not something you want to hear. Like,
All for hee-hees
It's
and
okay.
ha-has.
It's
because
for
I think it would be
shits
easy
and
to feel
giggles.
read. Yes.
Yeah. All right. But before we do that, I want to take a quick second and thank everybody out there listening. We appreciate all of you so much. And if you're not already, we'd love it if you follow the show for free in your favorite podcast listening app, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts or Spotify. Super easy. Just click the follow button and then you'll never miss an episode. And we're on YouTube, youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls. We have a visual version of every single episode. So if you like watching the visual version, you can subscribe there for free. youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls. Did I just say that? And
Yes.
we also have a Patreon. So this is a viewer supported show. We couldn't do this without the support of our patrons, and we love them so much. And we have a lot of fun perks over there. If you're interested in supporting us as well, we would greatly appreciate it at patreon.com/@those4kingfangirls. The link is in the show notes. We have an extra show attached to every single episode called Fangirl Tea Time, where we dig into like stories from our personal lives and just go a little deeper on the topics we're talking about. It's super fun. And if you're interested, you could try it out for free with a free trial for 7 days before you commit. And if you want to commit for a year instead of month to month, you get a 16% off discount. So that's an option too. And you get the show without ads. You get to come to the recordings, be a part of the discussion. It's a hoot. And we love our community over there. So give it some thought and check out the link in the show notes. All right. Well, we're about to roll into our main discussion. If you're a patron, we're going right in. If you're not, we'll be right back after these messages. And we're back.
Whoa, we're back.
All right. What do our favorite book tropes say about us? We're very excited. But before we go into what they say, I think we need to give everyone a basis of what our favorite book tropes are. But we're going to, like, Emma's gone into a bunch of them. So we're going to find yours too. Just wait. But Emma, what are your favorite book tropes? Tell us.
Yeah, so when it comes to romance, like I love a forbidden romance. Obviously, from my
Yes.
favorite series, like I feel like it's really easy to clock that within me.
Yes.
Also like Bad Boy with a Heart of Gold. Like I always
Yes.
love the like rough exterior, but that like will do anything for their love
Yes.
interest or like has
Hmm.
qualities that they try and suppress.
I
I
love
love
those
a
too.
good like hot villain too. Like every once in a while there's like a villain that will really stand out to me and I love the thrill of loving the
Yeah.
villain. Um and I also love opposites attract, I think. I think that it's
Hmm.
like very overdone in some ways, but I feel like when it's done right, it like really fulfills something in me of like I just love seeing two people who are like polar opposites find that common ground.
Nice. Natasha, what about you?
I've gotten, you know how I like to get very granular about it. Okay, so the big one obviously is enemies to lovers. I've always loved enemies to lovers. Um, Marriage of convenience. I like the whole forced proximity of it all, and maybe like, and it's also a mixture of the enemies to lovers because maybe they don't really like each other, but then like they're forced to be together. Love that.
Yeah, a lot of them weave into each other.
And and also slow burn that kind of goes into it as well. In like fantasy novels, when they're like the main character gets hurt or something, or someone has done something to her in her past, and then the love interest finds out about it, and he goes, "Who did this to you?" And then like goes after the threat or the person who hurt them. Well, I love men who yearn. Like, I feel like from Pride and Prejudice and from like my favorite classics, I just love a man who's obsessed with the main character. Oh, and then of course, like in fantasies, the love interest who has waited X amount of years to be with like the
Edward.
perfect, yeah, Edward Rhysand, to be with her or the mate or whoever.
Yeah, the mating bond.
Yeah. Okay, two more. Okay, when a character thinks that they are hard to love, but the love interest loves them like breathing.
It was written so poetically.
Thank you. And then of course the villain with the heart of gold too, like the villain who would do anything for them.
Yeah.
I should
love
have
a
put
villain
enemies to
redemption.
lovers too. Enemies to lovers is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I love, we talked about this a lot on the show, brothers, when both brothers are in love with the girl, like the Samurai Turned Pretty, like Vampire Diaries. I love it. It's so exciting. I love
Brothers or like do we like the sister aspect of it, like season 2 Bridgerton with Anthony?
I don't like it as much, but I do still like it, but it's not as intense as the brothers because they're like all brooding, and the sisters, I just want them to like
Be nice.
get along. Yeah.
Don't hurt each other too much.
The brothers get all like alpha-y about it, you know? And then the brothers tend to evolve into like they both love each other so much, but they both still are in love with the girl, and they're in this weird triangle, whereas the girl will step back. You know, they'll be like, my sister is in love with him and I will just be in pain. Whereas both brothers will be like, no, I love her.
Like Alexander Hamilton.
Yes. Yes. Like women are
my
so
sister.
self-sacrificial, I feel like, in most of those plot lines, because we are taught to be like everyone before us.
Yeah.
Not that there's no men like that, because there's Will Herondale. That's why that story is amazing.
Oh my God, Siobhan says she's like, I love a good curse that keeps a couple apart too. No!
There we go. Will Herondale. I do too, because there's so much yearning.
Yes.
But I love second chance love. So I love that, like, we were in love like 10 years ago. It didn't work out. And then we run into each other again. And it's like, oh my God. what's gonna happen, and it's a little bit in attached at the hip, and it's a lot of it, and it's again but better.
It's kind of like, I feel like I saw a TikTok on this, like they're like, yeah, like true love exists, but what about like that one time you had this like really intense connection with someone and it just like never really like did, like nothing really came from it.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God,
it's so later, fun too.
Different like, spots in their lives.
Yeah.
They're ready for a relationship.
Oh my God.
What's going to happen?
Love that so much. It's my favorite thing. If it's in a book, I'm immediately like, I'm in. And I love forced proximity. I'm not a huge fan of marriage of convenience, but I love like, we're stuck in an elevator. There's only one bed. Like, we're attached by rope. Like, all of that. My favorite. And I can get on board with like a hot for villain storyline. Not in the Mortal Instruments, but I can get on board with it in other respects. I feel like I can't think of an example right now. Oh, Damon.
I guess the villain,
Damon Salvatore.
The villain who is like a villain, but then
isn't. It's gray areas.
The redemption arc of it all. Like,
yes, there has to be some kind of redemption.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love a good redemption arc with a villain that like turns for.
Yeah. Like I never liked the dark one. Wait, what is his name called?
The dark one?
Shadow and Bone.
The Darkling.
The Darkling. I could never get on board with him. He wasn't funny enough.
Funny. I thought that was hot. But because like he hurt her, I'm not into that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move on in. Did everyone go?
Well, Emma has. Oh, okay.
Emma has a discussion note. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's move on in.
Yeah.
Emma, what do you have here?
Yeah. So, like, doing, like some research because, like, I am not a psychoanalyst. Like, that is not my field of expertise. But I think it's so fun to put on the psychoanalytical hat because it's like equal parts based in reality and also very much like ridiculous and outlandish. But something that like was coming up for me in a lot of like thinking of, like why are people drawn to these types of quotes, these types of tropes is that like fiction inherently gives us a safe and controlled way to experience all human emotions. So like it gives us that like safety net where we can experience love or anxiety or heartbreaking grief without having to go through it ourselves. And so I think especially with romance, like in a lot of what I see of discussions in romance is like a lot of people feel if there's no happily ever after, happy for now, like it's not a romance book. It's a book with romance is something that like I've seen a lot of people say. Yeah. And so like especially with romance, like you know what you're signing up for. So it makes it possible for you to like go into it and know like there's gonna be conflict, there's gonna be anxiety or tension, but like I know it's gonna be resolved. So I just thought that was an interesting thing. Yes, happy endings all around.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us like gravitate towards these tropes, maybe in like we don't always go to fish it out, but when it happens, it's just it's so gratifying and juicy to I guess you're right, like experience these emotions that like maybe you don't get to experience all the time in your life.
And it's so much wish fulfillment. I feel like when you get to experience the trope that like you like so much and to see it happen again and again, it's always fun. To like relive it through another person's eyes. So let's start off with Just One Bed, Emma.
I love a Just One Bed trope.
Yeah, Just One Bed is when there's just one bed at the end.
Very straightforward.
A famous one that I could point to is Akamath. When that scene came up, I remember I was so pumped. So excited. What do you think that says about us?
So I think that the reason that people are drawn to Just One Bed is because it's such a great example of like being attracted to the thrill of risks the way that like we like roller coasters, because like anxiety and excitement and anticipation all have really similar bodily reactions of like, you know, activating our heart rate and whatnot. And so it causes the resolution to feel more intense. I feel because there's like it's such a point of tension. So I think that a lot of people who are drawn to the just one bed trope is maybe because like they don't take a lot of those risks themselves, and it gives them the opportunity to feel like what it would be in that situation, to have that like test of free will. Like maybe they feel like they wouldn't be in that position, and so it's fun to like live that through somebody else. I'm curious to know what you guys think of that.
Interesting.
Like, is it taking away the choice of like having to confront like these emotions, like romantic notions that like, okay, I'm in this like forced proximity space with someone and we kind of have to confront this attraction for each other?
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of the wish fulfillment of like, you're scared to confront the attraction, but like you have to in that situation, and it doesn't feel like it's on you. It's not like you're instigating it. It's kind of like it's just happening. So it's not like I can get hurt like I instigated it. It's like, oh, it either happens or it doesn't, and it's set up. Have any of you found yourself in this trope in real life ever?
Sadly not.
Just
I
one
don't think
bed.
so. I think that it kind of mimics the idea of a situation where like you are with somebody and, you know, like you have an inkling that like you both have some sort of feelings for one another, but you're not pursuing it in that moment. Like, you know, like you're at the movies and like your arms are touching, but like you're not like holding hands. I feel like it kind of replicates that tension of it's like there's like something on the edge
like the holding your hand
and it's
out
not
on the
getting.
chair with Bella sort of feeling, like waiting to see. I have set myself up for a forced proximity with a boy I liked once, but there were two beds. But we were in the same hotel room. And then there was another instance that I'm remembering now with like a friend where there was just one bed, and I was just hoping that it wasn't like a situation that it felt weird for anyone, because it didn't for me. I just wanted to sleep on a bed.
I now remember that I totally have been in that situation before.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
I like went away with some friends, and there was a friend that I had like some tension with, and we had agreed to share a room, and it was like is something going to happen or is it not? Nothing did happen to do spoilers, but totally didn't realize that I had that.
I don't know if it works in real life.
I was gonna say, I'm like, Christine and I have been in this situation multiple times, but like we're
You mean when we had just one bed? Yeah.
Yeah. We're like all through England.
England does not have hotel rooms with more than one fucking bed. It's so ridiculous. Okay.
Also, wait, Tamara says I did kind of with my crush and I had a sleeping bag next to each other during our middle school lockdown. The tension was insane.
Oh my God.
I love that for you.
Siobhan says, I love the chivalry where the guy initially refuses to sleep on the bed and is like, I'll take the floor. I hate when they take the floor.
I love that too. I'd rather them take the bed, but I love it.
I know. Yes. The scene in The Summer I Turned Pretty season 2 where she's on the bed and both brothers are on the floor because there's just one bed for the three of them. Oh my God. I was having a field day. When they had to pull into that inn, I was like, there's just going to be one bed and there's three. Oh my God.
A whole different
can
of
just
worms.
one bed. I know. There's a scene in the OC where there's just one bed too in season 1, and it is the best because before like our couples are like together, and Seth and Summer have to share a pull-out mattress. It's great. All right,
Next.
move us to the next. Natasha, what is it?
Brothers.
Brothers, and it really just ties into everything I just said about The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yeah. Example.
I was like, that's a great
Vampire Diaries, Summer I Turned
segue.
Pretty.
Yes. All right. What does Brothers say about us, Emma?
I know Christine is like, I so want to know. Like, tell me what this means about me. So I think that Brothers goes into that kind of idea of like wish fulfillment, where it fulfills this idea of like, I'm so irresistible that I have the ability to break up this like really strong familial bond. And it's also, which I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I think that that's something that like reading does let us to explore is like this feeling of like, I'm special. Like that's why we have tropes like the chosen one and whatnot. Like, you know, it feels nice to feel special, right? I think everyone does.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, like, also oftentimes, specifically with brothers, it's so often that they're opposites because, like, if the brothers were really the same, like, that wouldn't be so interesting. So it, like, gives you the opportunity to, or it gives the main character the opportunity to experience two different types of love and, like, any kind of love triangle. Like, it's fun to be in that place of choice. But also there's like really severe consequences with this one compared to a love triangle because it's like somebody is going to get hurt and it impacts their relationship. But I think that like something else that like, like the really high stakes. And so because of that, I think that people who are really attracted to the brothers trope, maybe people who are like very indecisive and feel the pressure to make that right choice because of those perceived real consequences.
That's interesting because I'm so decisive, but I don't know. But I do like, I feel like there's something about like the stakes, like the fact that it's so high stakes makes it so exciting. And there's definitely something to like the opposites thing, like getting to experience like the guy who's like the ideal guy, but then like there's Damon. And they're brothers. So there must be some good redeeming qualities on both of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that also an interesting point of the brothers is like, I think that people who have been on like the more negative end of favoritism, like let's say like you have like family relationships between like siblings and like your sibling was the favorite or like you feel dismissed and slighted. I think that brothers and other kinds of like love triangles can be validating in the sense of like with that kind of self-insertion idea is like I get the chance to choose for once. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the whole, like what you said about the in the beginning, like how you're so irresistible that you can break up a familiar.
That was so funny.
Which I feel like, I mean, it's sad.
In reality, but yeah, this is something that in reality I don't think I would ever want to be a part of.
No, it's horrific.
Oh my gosh,
it's horrific, but it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it's like that like there's such consequences that come from it. You know, it's not just like a guy that would, you know, two people at once. It's like if you choose one, the other one just kind of like disappears into the ether. Like you choose a brother, that brother is going to still be in your life and you're going to have to like relive like what the outcome of that is over and over.
Yeah. No, it's sad times IRL. But yeah, I think the opposite thing of it makes for really great TV because the brother, like having one brother that's super antagonistic makes for like really interesting drama. Because there's so much morally gray shit on both sides. All right. Hate to love. I've related all of these to the Vampire Diaries.
Hate to love is
the Vampire Diaries is full of such good ones.
It really is, and they're really just so famous that you know instantly. But yeah, Violet and Xaden is a huge one right now.
I mean, I would say like in Star Wars, like Princess Leia and Han. I don't know. Was that like hate to love? I think so. It's like bickering to love.
Yeah. Yeah, it counts.
Yeah, so I think that hate to love comes from the like tension. Like there's so much tension in it, and that tension is so exciting because like hate and love both have like really intense passion, right? Like you have to be really passionate to hate someone. And I think that like the blurring of like the positive and negative attraction is something that attracts people to it. I think that like what it could say about you is like I think that it can be kind of a play on like fear of rejection. It's like I'm already rejected, but also like I have to keep up that rejection because typically once the characters are like starting to recognize their feelings, they really have to suppress it. And I think that that's something that also makes like the resolution more satisfying because it's like, finally you recognize it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really that like intense passion that can like you're so hurt by someone and then there's like the whole, you have to kind of make up for that hurt in some way. And which, when it turns into love, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
it's also like fulfilling that if that thing that used to happen in the 90s where like when you like someone you are mean to them.
Yes, I was just gonna say like I feel like that was instilled in us from a very young age that like to like someone is to like bicker with them or hate them or make fun of them, and so I think that it pulls on that too.
Yeah, and I love that. Like the like again, there's so much fun hearing that dialogue when people it's fun hearing that. Obviously no one wants to be negged in the year 2025, but there's a feeling of being seen when someone makes fun of you in a cute way, and sees things that you do and picks up on things that not everyone recognizes. And that's the good kind of like, that's the good side of this bullying thing. Like when you don't like someone, when you like someone, you pick on them. Like it's like cute picking, not like, oh, you're ugly. Like not that.
Totally.
I like it in like a fantasy novel, especially, like the Romeo and Juliet thing, like when you're on two sides of a war or something and the other person's beliefs are like so much different than yours, and that's essentially like why you hate like that person is because of like their beliefs, and
you
then,
don't
like,
understand
the whole like
worldview.
turning and shifting those perspectives into something, into like a relationship that would work, I think really like speaks to me, because it's like someone who is just like steeped in these beliefs, and then like they're redeeming themselves to you in a sense in that way.
Yeah,
says,
absolutely, with that redemption.
Yeah. Siobhan says, I think Pride and Prejudice is the perfect example of hate to love because it was all the things that they could work out to be together. Sometimes it's not something they can work out, or it's something so small that it makes the character seem really petty. Yeah, I guess, well, because in Pride and Prejudice, he's just like this big grump, and it's his perspective that like, it's his pride that makes him think like, oh, she's not good enough for me. And then she's like, well, I don't want this grump. Like if he thinks he's too good for me, but then he starts to like slowly fall in love with her because of who she is, aside from all of what society says that he shouldn't love her.
I don't like Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, stop it. This is why it's not your favorite trope.
No, I do like hate to love though. I just don't like it all the time, I guess. Like I do, like it'll get me. Like I wanted Rey and Kylo together. Like, and I wish they had a scene that was more like affirming.
Them speaking to each other?
Yeah. More affirming of their secret love. But yeah, I think it has to hate to love. I like it more when there's more ending to it. Like where it doesn't just like end on them being in love, where like we get to see their relationship play out a little bit more and see the push and pull of like why they didn't like each other beforehand.
And that's why I like Marriage of Convenience, because it forces them to work through all of their issues. Let's just skip to that one and we'll come back. That was a good
I was going to
segue.
say, I was like, it feels like Natasha wants to talk about that one. So I think that with like a wedding of convenience, I think that part of what it comes from is like that companionship has to be built before love to take place. So I think that like what you said about people have to work it out, it's like the building of that trust, that understanding, and that common ground before really acknowledging the love. And like that, in order for love to occur, like that conflict has to be resolved. So I think that also like with the idea of like starting out married and falling in love, there's a sense of security of like we're bound together, kind of like
Yeah.
oh, I don't know where the rest of that sentence came from, but like I think that it's like we're stuck together, and so like it's safe to love and to be vulnerable. And I think that it also highlights kind of like forced proximity. It's like the inner parts of ourselves have to be revealed. And so it's like, you know, like the quirks or like the things that we try and hide, like they are going to come out. And knowing that it's going to end in love makes it validating of like, it's okay for me to be flawed and imperfect.
Yeah. That they're not going to reject.
What do you
them
love so much
immediately.
about it, Natasha?
Oh, I mean, it's all of my favorite things. It's the hate to love, the forced proximity, and it's the slow burn. It's the building, you know, the security, like you said, of being attached to someone, and knowing that like, okay, I have to live with this person for, you know, this amount of time, you know, because usually it's like, oh, my grandma's contract says like we have to get married so that I can have this money, and it has to be like for 5 years. Like I love a Marriage of Convenience story in a Germani fanfic, and it's the like the two characters that you wouldn't necessarily think would fall in love, but because of their proximity to each other and how they see the good and the bad, the ugly, the bad, you know, just every single thing of a person's daily life, and how you can slowly fall in love with that person because you're there on that journey with them, which I really love. But also in a fantasy novel, it could be a little different because you could like a very specific trope that I really like in fantasy with Marriage of Convenience is when like we have two opposing countries like trying to come together and like have like a marriage bond between, and like one's like, you're gonna have to kill him so that we can win this war, and then like, so that's really intense, and then the whole like, I have to kill you to like, well, I really love you now is so gratifying. Like just that complete turn.
Yeah. I think listening to you talk about that has made me like really, like I was thinking about why I really like the brothers thing again. And I think what I like about that is that two men have to like take the high road because they're brothers and like learn to love each other for who they love instead of like being alphas and like just fighting and like kind of like one disappearing. Like they have to face it, just like with the Marriage of Convenience, you have to like talk through the quirks and work through it. Like there's the same thing with brothers, like they're attached to each other forever, and it's so gratifying when they like sit down and they're like, I love you and I want you to be happy. And I am when seeing men take that route is so gratifying for me, because so often they like it gets so heated and angry, and yeah, I like seeing everyone just love each other and be like, well, whatever happens, we're gonna be here for each other.
Yeah, I think like the inner work of it all is so like gratifying to see. I keep saying that word, to see as like a woman reading and written by a woman, because this is all like what we would love to see in our real life. And to see like a male character, for instance, like take charge and change those things to be able to mold into something that he needs to be for the love interest is like, that's just wish fulfillment here on our little earth.
What about Bad Boy with Heart of Gold?
So, I think that Bad Boy with a Heart of Gold comes
Chase
from the
Wayland.
idea of like, I can fix him. And so it's like, it's not
No,
like
really, I
it's,
can.
it's exactly. And it's not like the villain where it's like, this is a bad person and I can actually fix him. But I think Bad Boy with a Heart of Gold is more like, I can bring these good things to the surface of this person and have a positive impact on their life.
Yeah.
Or like, he only reveals those parts of himself for me. So it's like, you know, like he will treat everyone differently and keep them at a distance. But like, I give him the opportunity to be vulnerable and to be honest. Or like, I have earned the you know, opportunity to see those sides of him. So I think it comes back to that like desire for caretaking and also like having a positive impact on others, like wanting to feel that we have changed the people in our lives.
For the better.
And I think that it can also, yes, exactly. And I think that it can also kind of highlight the idea that like first impressions and exteriors are not always true. So like people who struggle with the idea of how they're being perceived by other people, to like see it unfold that like somebody who is viewed, that like others may view negatively. Like when you think of a bad boy, you think of the person that like your parents like wouldn't want you to date. And so it's like if somebody has a negative perception of you, that's not actually always true. And like we do have things that are under the surface. Did somebody else
I really
say
like
that they
one.
also love Bad Boy and Heart of Gold? Or was that
I
just
love
one
Bad
of
Boy and
my
Heart of Gold
favorites?
too. I think we all love Bad
So
Boy with
good.
Heart of Gold. I mean, like to this day, I feel like I'm in love with Jace Wayland, and then like Xaden comes along. Have you read those books yet? Have you read Fourth Wing?
No, I haven't. But I saw like the Onyx Storm like whirlwind that everyone went to, and I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like older times of book release
it really
excitement, and that really like drew me in. But I know that like even like people in like my colleagues were talking about it, and I was like, wow, this book has really like reached a lot of different places.
It really has. It's crazy.
It's good to know that there's a Bad Boy and Heart of Gold
Oh
trope
my
in there,
God,
though.
he's amazing. I love him.
Christine, I just have to say, it's so validating to hear you call him Jace Wayland, because I feel like I am the only person in the world that still calls him that. And like on my booktube videos, like I'll get comments that are like, he's not even a Wayland. Like his name is Jace Herondale or Jace Lightwood. And I'm like, the way he's introduced is going to stick with me forever. So like you healed a part of me there.
Yes. That's like Selena Sardathian. I still call her by her first name.
Oh,
too,
yes.
That's
100%.
That's her. Where were we?
Harem.
Okay, I just want to say though, I most related to what you said about Bad Boy with Heart of Gold. I feel like I felt seen by that explanation.
Yes.
Me too. So with harem, I need you guys to explain to me like what that means to you, because I wasn't familiar with this term, and I started doing a lot of like research, and I was like, this is so much information to take in. So I'm curious to know like how, like, what is your definition of the harem romance trope?
This is Natasha. I've never read a harem trope.
We should have said reverse harem, because that means that there's one girl and multiple men. Because I don't like the other way, because it's multiple women and one man, which is not.
Like that's why I can't watch The Bachelor. I don't like it.
Okay, so reverse harem, that's what I've read and what I've enjoyed. But It's still like not something that I seek out all the time. It's like if I really want like a real spicy book.
Right, right. And like something I was reading about it is that it's like there's not necessarily like a choice at the end. Like sometimes it is that it's like these romantic interests like are aware of each other and exist at once. Cause like when I was looking up examples of it, the first one that came up was like the selection for like harem instead of reverse harem, where like there's a choice at the end of that. So I found that there's like a lot of like variation in it, or like what Tamara said is like harem in the West is very different from like harem, which I know is really big in like anime too.
Yes. I know. Every time I talk about it with Alex, he's like, "You like that?" I'm like, I think you're thinking of something different than I think."
Yeah, so I think that like one of the things that came up for me in thinking about harem is like that idea of like being so desired by like multiple people at once. It's like I feel like it like reinforces that feeling as opposed to like only one person. Like if so many different people are fawning over me, like that's really validating of like my own beliefs about myself. And I think that also there's like a fear of rejection reduces because it's like they're like it feels safe because there's so many different people that are interested in me at once, whereas if it's one person and I like put all of my all into one person, if that person leaves, like I'm gonna feel like really alone and abandoned. But I think that also similar to like the brothers of opposites attract, like I find that from what I've read that harem often involves like suitors or interests that are all very different. So it's like you get so many different experiences of love at once. And I could see how somebody who like doesn't have a lot of romantic experience and maybe hasn't like had a long history of like different relationships would be attracted to witnessing that. Does Natasha feel red?
Yes.
I feel like we kind of talked about Grumpy Sunshine-ish. I don't, maybe not. Maybe I'm kind of like equating it to like the different like hate to love sort of like because Grumpy
like
Sunshine,
opposites attract. I feel like we touched on.
opposites attract. Yeah, kind of go hand in hand. But what were you feeling about this one?
I think that it comes from that idea of like a view of love that like we complete each other, that like the other person is going to fill gaps in the other person, or that like, if we think about like the idea of like two halves of one whole, like if you have that perspective of love and relationships, that the idea of like the two extremes is really going to appeal to you. And also that it's not about like trying to get the other person to change. It's like you are accepted as you are, like the sunshine loves the grump despite being a grump, and the goal isn't for them to change the other person, but like, if Grumpy Sunshine was kind of like more like spontaneous and like logistical, it's like somebody who like really plans out everything. The spontaneous person or the sunshine is going to help them experience more fun in life, not stop them from doing it that way. So I think that it's very much a validation in like wanting to be accepted for who you are without being expected to change.
I feel like there is a difference between Grumpy Sunshine and Opposites Attract, actually, because a Grumpy Sunshine, they can have very similar views on things, but like just look like experience life differently because like one's like really happy-go-lucky and one's like grump. But like with Opposites Attract, they could have such opposite viewpoints on like intrinsic life things and just hate things that the others loves, and that's not necessarily what Grumpy Sunshine is. Because I feel like in my life, when I don't think I want to be with someone who's the opposite of me. I feel like I've kind of experienced that, and it doesn't work out because they don't fucking like any of the things you like. It's annoying. But yeah, grumpy sunshine is like just a mindset thing.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
I also feel like I don't know. I feel like I need like a sunshine person in my life. Like if someone's so like low and down, because I feel like I'm pretty neutral as a person. You know, I can get excited, you know, sporadically, but not all the time. And like having a sunshine person just makes, you know, things more fun.
Yeah. I feel like with someone who's always grumpy, I'm just like, you have to have a grumpy person who like becomes more sunshine by being around the sunshine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're grumpy because they're not happy, but once they're happy, they're like at least neutral.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Second in Elevator. One of my favorites.
Okay, so this made me laugh so hard because I was like, this is a trope in itself. Like, this isn't just like a variation on forced proximity. Like, I had no idea that like this is like something that you like seek out. You know what I mean? So I thought that was so interesting.
Whenever it comes up, I'm like, oh my god, Second in Elevator.
I go back to the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend scene when it's like in that point they get stuck in an elevator, her and her boss ish, and like they've had all this tension like building, and then like finally like they have to face
Literally, that happens in the Mindy Project too. In one of the seasons where her and the love interest like haven't been talking, and then they get stuck in an elevator together. I'm like, ah! This happens in You Got Mail with like their significant others, and that's how they finally like realize that they're not in love with their others. Do you remember that? It's in You Got Mail. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, it's in one of my books.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. I was like, oh, of course, Christine would put this in.
So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think that what's interesting about Stuck in an Elevator and how that's different from like forced proximity is that it's like not only is it like so close, like there's like, you know, you're in like a 9x9 box or something. But because of that, like being that there's no distractions and it's very high stakes because it's like we don't know like when we're gonna get out of here. Like it
It's
accelerates.
like being on an island.
Yes, exactly. And I think that like accelerates the attraction because number one, like our emotions are already heightened. Like if you're trapped in an elevator yourself, your adrenaline's running. So like if you're there with another person that you find attractive, like that unfolds really quickly. And I think that it causes like the emotional barriers to break down really quickly. And so I think that a way to view that of like why somebody would be attracted to that is like somebody who struggles to like open up and be vulnerable. The idea of having an external source that is going to propel that and like kind of force you to, if the idea of like starting to do that on your own as an active choice is intimidating.
Yeah.
You also get to see that partner in a crisis situation.
Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. And I love that. Because then you're kind of testing them to see how they handle it, even if you're panicking.
Right. That's kind of like the opposite because like you think of like I feel like Love is Blind is a really good example of it. Like the conflict comes later. Like it's all like fun and like exciting in the beginning. And then
in the elevator.
But even yeah, exactly. So, but like it's the opposite. It's that like it's fun and exciting. Most relationships, it's like it grows and then you find out down the line how they deal with crisis or difficult situations. It's like you're starting from that point when you're in an elevator. So I think it's also the opposite of what most people experience in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like pressure cooker.
Exactly.
Pressure cooker. All right. Forced proximity as kind of like
I feel like we've talked about
flowing in. But we've talked about it. Is there anything different in here?
I like what Natasha said before about like the emotions and conversations can't be avoided. Like you're forced to work through it.
Exactly.
And I think that also people who like fear abandonment or rejection, it's like, well, you can't because you're like stuck in the same place, you know, like you have to like interact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like fulfilling that fantasy. Like if they just gave me a chance, they would love me. You just need to spend time with me. Pay attention.
What type of person is that who feels like they need to get into a situation where they have to kind of reveal their secrets?
I feel like it's almost like if you're too shy to talk to that person, you have this daydream. If it was just the two of you, then like you would talk. If there was no one else around to take their attention all the time, and if there was no one else to feel like, you know, you kind of have this complex where you think that maybe you're not cool enough or not interesting enough to talk to them. But like, there's another part of you that's like, well, if it was just us, I wouldn't like have all that pressure on me to feel like I have to be cooler and all the stuff than these other people, so I can be myself. And then they get to know me. And that's what that situation opens up for you.
I think that you really hit it with the, like, if they just gave me a chance, is like, yeah.
Second chance love.
Oh, Christine's favorite.
I love second chance love too, especially because like that's my experience with my with my current partner. Is that like we met like so many years ago and had feelings that never came to fruition, and then years later, like, you know, we ended up getting together. So that one's fun for me to read. Yes, now we're engaged. Yes, it's very exciting. So second chance love does exist. Yes. I think that part of what attracts people to second chance love is like the people who think about like the what ifs in life. Like you think about, you know, you're very attached to the past, and it's like you know, like if I had made different choices or if things had gone differently, like would, you know, like the one that got away is like, you know, I'm wondering like what would have really happened if like they didn't get away. So I think that people who like second chance love are often very attached to the past, because it gives us the idea of like rewriting past mistakes or getting do-overs, which again, I can see Christine very much loving based on your writings.
Like, this is, I feel seen.
Yeah. I think that it also makes love it seem more real, that like we're, you know, we get another chance, like after all this time, like we do still love each other.
The universe gives it to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's very like cosmic in that sense. So I think it's a lot of the belief in like love trumps all, and like, you know, like to be really in love with somebody is that's going to like last forever.
Or that like if it's meant to be, it comes back.
Yes.
Metal says, as Taylor Swift would say, I'm addicted to the if only.
Literally. I was like, Taylor Swift also would love second chance love. I mean, she probably does love second chance love.
I like, Emma, your story, beautiful, wonderful. My cousin, this is like the opposite. My cousin got married to like her first high school boyfriend after like coming out of a relationship, and it ended so poorly. Like they got a divorce within a year because like I don't want to go into it too much, but like it's like that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, of course,
absolutely.
There's always
bad ones.
In any of these, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
My cousin actually, her husband is second chance love. They knew each other, but like nothing ever happened between them. And then they saw each other again like 15 years later and started dating. And now they have 4 kids.
Yeah, I feel like this is the one, also friends to lovers, that happens so often in our reality.
That's something that I was going to say.
Yeah, it's something that like we crave so much because we've seen it, I feel like.
Right, like I think that like forced proximity might feel kind of like unrealistic or fantastical. Like in how many situations, you know, are you going to be like stuck with somebody with no distractions? But like second chance love is something that like really does happen. So it's like something that can feel more real than some other scenarios, like a wedding of convenience.
For sure.
Wedding convenience happens a lot of time in different cultures, though. It's still
Yes. I think I'm thinking of it more in like a Western sense of
Yeah.
like how you know, some of the romance books that aren't culturally like don't have that cultural influence yet.
Yeah, in that culture. Yeah.
What about what did he do to you? Natasha's favorite.
I know, that's Natasha's favorite. I think that what did he do to you, like that very much represents this feeling of being like protected and prioritized. So I think that like people who feel like dismissed, or that like others aren't willing to like defend them or stand up to them, really are drawn to that idea of like, I'll burn down the world to like right the wrongs. Like I'll kill the people that hurt you. Like, I think it's just like an ultimate sense of like, I, you know, like you are choosing me and I will protect you no matter what, or like your pain causes me pain. I think that that's part of, where it could come from.
Yeah. I think a really good example of this is Jamie Fraser. I feel like, I know a lot of people probably don't, a lot of people don't think that. I don't know. Would you think that?
I wouldn't like go to him. I would go to Zayden before I went to Jamie Fraser.
That's true. But I feel like Jamie, like that's, oh my God, he just like goes after her all the time. He's like, blood of my blood.
I didn't read the book, so it's like I think you have a more rounded version of Jamie in your head.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I felt seen with that, Emma.
All in good fun, all in good fun.
all right, what else do we have here? Mine.
This is giving Henry Cavill and
It's giving Edward
Witcher.
Cullen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so Edward Cullen.
I'm rereading Onyx Storm, and there's a lot of mines in there too. But like, I feel like at the right moment, mine is really like romantic. But like, some people say it all the time.
Yeah, when that gets a little too possessy for me.
Yeah, I think that like the idea of mine is this idea of like when that possessiveness becomes like romanticized, of like, this means that this person is completely and utterly devoted to me, like by them claiming me in a sense means that like I don't have to doubt that they will leave me, and I don't have to be insecure about it. You know, the idea of like, I feel so valued that like the idea of a dude looking at me is going to, you know, drive this person crazy. And, you know, it's like that feeling of being chosen. Yes, exactly. So I think that it's an interesting like power play in that sense. But I think that because like that's a thing that it's interesting because like I work through a lot of these with certain clients like who like are like hopeless romantics and like read romance novels or like movies, and like, you know, like part of like what I work through with some people is how like bringing those tropes and expectations down to reality. And so like I've worked through that idea with people of like wanting that like possessiveness where like Natasha, you said like sometimes it goes into like an unhealthy perspective. But I think that in a more like nuanced sense, it just comes off as like I am chosen by this person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like sometimes it's really like in Bride, it's really hot when they're like they have to bite each other for like them to be mine. And like I feel like in the supernatural world, it's like it feels almost like, well, it's part of their culture. It's not the same as when it's like two like regular Earth people just being like mine.
I think that there's also like what were you gonna say, Natasha?
No, keep going.
I was just gonna say, I think that there's also like a sexy element to it of like, even if you don't really mean that, like it's not about ownership. like to say it and to feel it that way. I think that there's like a sexy element to it as well of like, I am for this person is for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Metal says he has to be obsessed with me, but also must value my agency.
That's the goal.
I also think with someone who's that devoted to you too, it's like they will love you through every era in your life. You know, like if your body changes as you get older, like that kind of devotion is, I think, what we're all seeking, is that like they will be devoted and love you for any of, like, as you age and as you get older and grow together.
But there's also like kind of the dark side of that sort of intense devotion, that like where jealousy could come in if you're spending time with your friends, and like there's such a balance that this person has to strike with their devotion.
Mine really works in fantasy, urban fantasy, sci-fi, right? Doesn't always work in, you know, real world romance.
Earth romance.
Earth romance.
Yeah. Earth romance, a lot of the ones that your favorites, I feel like, are the ones that are like security wise, like Fated Mates too. I love that too. But like, it's the same sort of thing that you were saying, Emma, about like how there's like a layer of security that nothing is going to separate you.
I wonder why. My parents died.
Yeah. Well,
you can laugh at that. It's funny.
Yeah, I think that a lot of these tropes come back to the idea of security, because I think that the idea of like romance and vulnerability is like something that provokes so much insecurity for people. So I think that that's why a lot of these tropes that are satisfying is like that, you know, like I don't have to doubt, I don't have to worry.
Yeah. Some of the ones that like you kind of skipped over, there's like, I saw a Reddit thread that I screenshotted and didn't read just in case. But like, should I read some of them? Because like the billionaire, I feel like that's so interesting. Like secret billionaire. You seek comfort, safety, and stability, and you want everyone to know that you have something to fall back on if everything goes wrong. That makes sense. I feel like, but is that like, what's the biggest secret billionaire? Is that 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good example.
And then like new girl / guy in town, you've probably never moved very far away from home, and now you're looking for something new. You've grown bored with your life. And like the idea that someone could come along and shake that up. Like that feels so, I don't know, not what I think when I think of Bella Swan.
I think part of that one is like a fresh start. Is like, you know, like somebody gets to fall in love with me exactly as I am without the preconceived notions about my past.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of like amnesia, but I hate the amnesia trope because they always bring it in after the fact, after they've fallen in love, and then they're not in love anymore because they have amnesia.
Well, then there's also like When You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock, where they think that Sandra was like his girlfriend, but she was just like she was like attracted to him and like wanted to know more about him. And like then she's coming into the hospital every single day, like while he's in the coma, and he wakes up, he doesn't remember anything. And she goes into like this relationship with him but it was a farce the whole time. Have you never seen this movie?
No, I've never seen this movie. I don't like it though. What is most of the movie? He's in a coma.
Yeah, but she's getting to know his family, and then there's a brother. So it's brothers.
Now Christine's intrigued.
Wait, but does she know him before the accident?
I think she only sees him as they like commute together.
That's so weird. Okay, so it's kind of like also Pixie Dream Girl'd him.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Are there any others that we should
hit on? Yeah.
Hit on.
Are there any others do you think that we need to hit on before we move on here?
I guess like fake dating, but is that the same type of situation?
Is fake dating like a forced proximity side offshoot?
I think that it can be because, like, realistically, like, if you're fake dating, you're forced to be around that person and spend time with them.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that stands out to me about the idea of fake dating is that I think that people who have more of an avoidant attachment style could be attracted to that because it's like,
Oh.
because people with an avoidant or an anxious avoidant attachment style, like there's often the craving of connection and intimacy, but the fear of it. And so like fake dating gives you the opportunity to
Yeah.
act like you're dating and to like, you know, like get those feelings without the commitment and without the you know, like the perceived consequences, like, oh, it's all fake, like this is going to end soon. But again, then it, you know, we
like they're
know
in
that they're
denial.
going to actually
Yeah.
fall in love, you know. I think that that one's very intimate, but I think that like so many of these have like those similar connections, you know, like amnesia and
Yeah.
second chance or like, you know, fated soulmates and like having that security, you know, I think that there's a lot of similarities in these tropes when you really look at them.
Yeah, they kind of stem from bigger offshoots of the same ideas, similar ideas, but like there's you get into your niche trope that really is just like exactly what you want to see.
Like stuck in an elevator.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about like friends to lovers.
Oh yeah. That one just seems boring to me, but what do you have?
I think that what was the one that we had talked about earlier? I know it was one that
Second
Natasha
Chance?
liked. Maybe it was
The wedding of convenience where you had
The
to
Wedding
be
of
like kind of
Convenience.
friends. Yeah.
yes, I think that that's drawn to people who like the idea of like one night stands or like, you know, like talking stages, like those things are really intimidating. So like the idea of like it's like validation of like you know, like taking time to fall in love and like really getting to know each other is something that
Yeah.
does result in love. I think that it comes from that place of like, you know, I want to be friends with somebody before I fall in love with them because it feels like whether it's safer or it feels more real, it feels like I know this person. I think that that's where friends to lovers comes from. And again, it's also like really based in reality.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about forbidden love. Yours.
I think that forbidden love is very much comes from a place of like rebellion or drive for autonomy. So I think that like people who like have a rejection of like social norms and traditions really are drawn to forbidden love because the whole idea behind it is like you can't tell me who to love or like I'm going to love this person despite everything
Yeah,
telling
fuck
me
you.
that I can't. Yeah, exactly. But also like you know, like that kind of like idea of love trumps all again. It's like the willingness to risk it all. Like I'll give up my, you know, my entire like country, my royal status. I'll leave behind everything because I'm so in love with you. I think that that also adds on to that idea of like devotion of like if it's forbidden and we're going to love each other anyways, like the love is really worth it. Does that make sense?
Yep. All right.
So we're going to move into Marry, Kiss, Clev. Meow, meow. All right. So I think I did this one. Yeah. So Marry, Kiss, Clev, we're doing fated mates, hate to love, or brothers.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna.
Wow. I think I'm gonna marry fated mates
I was thinking I would do that too.
for the security of it. I'll probably kiss Hate to Love because of the passion that I'm going to Cliff Brothers.
Ah! Wait, but what if your fated mate was like dickhead?
Great. I mean, it's the perfect situation that I wanted to be in.
What? What do you mean?
Because we have to be together and he's a dickhead, so I'm just not going to like him until he has to like...
Yeah,
what
he
if
has to
it's
not
like-
be dickhead.
What if
Yeah.
it's like Lucian? Like, I would hate to be fated mate with Lucian.
Lucian? That man is going to change. I know he is.
It's been a long time and he hasn't. I am so annoyed with that man. I would be so upset if I would fated mate with someone that like I just didn't like. Like, because you'd be stuck. Okay, you know what? I'm doing brothers so I could choose. Brothers, married, hate to love, kiss, fated mate. I'm chucking it because I'm afraid I'd be fated mated with someone I hate. And like that, not like I hate, like I love you, hate you, like hate, like, ew, you're gross.
I think I'm gonna marry Hate to Love because I just love the tension.
Yes.
I'm gonna kiss Fated Mates because I think it's like cute. You know, it's like Hate to Love has like a little like spice to it. Fated Mates is like, oh, like we're meant to be together, you know? And I'm going to Cliff Brothers because I do not want that responsibility. And I think that the perceived
give me so
consequences
much anxiety.
would make me mad. Yes.
All right, well, I'll just be married with brothers. Yes.
I like that we all chose different ones.
Yeah.
Tamara says, wait, but if your fated mate is someone you don't like, would they become hate to love? No, but some people, when you have hate to love, like you're attracted to that person. But like if it's someone that you actually genuinely think is a terrible person and you're not attracted to them, then like you're kind of starting at like -10 and it's hard to get out of that. It's hard to dig yourself out of a grave.
Yeah.
when, like, oof, I'm just imagining so many bad possibilities to be fated mate with.
I would just hope that they would, step up to the plate, at least take care of me in a sense where I would have the security of a roof over my head and we can have our own separate things if it's in that sense.
Ugh. Like, what
Just
if
let me read my books. I'll be fine.
You could always get like someone gross from like Game of Thrones. Like, it's just gross. There's so many gross options. Okay, anyway, that's our show today. Our show is edited by Emma Burton, Vagard, Natasha Polis, Christine Riccio, and Alex Polis. Our music is by Heather Traska with our music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska. And our socials are done by oh my God, what is wrong with me today? Chloe Laverson. I didn't sleep well last night. And it's showing. Our socials are done by Chloe Laverson. She's amazing. Make sure you're following us at Those Working Fangirls on Instagram and TikTok and, of course, YouTube. All the links to Emma and our socials are in the show notes for easy access. So just open up the little description to find them. And we release new episodes every Friday. So we'll see you next Friday. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm Christine.
I'm Natasha.